What's up YouTube, it's Sodhorst here with Tasty Tracker. Today I closed the AMD position and opened up the Apple position, so we'll get right into it. The AMD position, I had a closing order for a $10 debit that I put on quite some number of days ago. Since there's only 4 days to expiration here, there's really not any time for it to go anywhere. In addition, right here we can see AMD's trading at $55, and they had a huge update today from 52.5 to 55.5. So I needed it to be above 50, so it is quite above where it needed to be. That closed rather easily. You can see it executed at 9:35. For Apple, I opened up a new position. Now, because I only had around $240 to work with, I wanted to go out a little bit further to try to collect a little bit more premium, and then I had to go more aggressive on the strikes. Typically I do around a 30% in the money, and if you subscribe to my alerts, you would see that this one had a 57% chance in the money, which sounds pretty risky, but when you consider that this just needs to be above 320. Let's go to the Apple chart here. Okay, so it needs to be above 320. Right now it's at 315, so that doesn't sound as crazy when you put it in those terms, so it needs to come up $5. At the time I put it on, it was actually trading at 317, so but yeah, $5 in the next what is it here, 67 days. So I think that can happen. Of course that depends on how bullish you are on Apple, but we are getting close to the peak back here from before the crash. That's at 322-ish, and like I said, it needs to be above 320. So even if it hung around that area, we could still be profitable. Yeah, so that's really the Apple position. I guess the only other thing I really wanted to talk about here was the AMGN position. This was put on somewhat as a hedge to the portfolio in case the market took another downturn. It was convenient for me because it seemed like it was trading at the top of the range. So if I go to AMGN, you can see today it had a huge up day, and we are right at the max of its range, its most recent range. Now again, obviously that doesn't mean anything. It can go above what it was trading at before, but if it were to roll over here in the next couple days would be the time at which it would do that. And I wouldn't really expect it to see anything like this. This is because the crash, but a typical cycle for them looks something like this, where they'll have you know, a $10 to $15 pullback. So right here they went from 209 down to 188. So yeah, $10 to $20 is not an uncommon cycle for them, and you'll get these periods of time where it really hangs out, and that's just AMGN. I'm not saying that that's going to do that, but this is this month's expiration coming out, June. So needs to come to around this area and be around where my cursor is. Say the break even is 236, so 236. So if it can be where my cursor is or below at around that time period, middle of June, then we should be fine. I would say this is even riskier of a position than the Apple position because I'm very bullish on Apple. I don't actually like doing bearish positions. I would personally rather do something like an iron condor or wait till a buying opportunity comes, but I did want to hedge the downside a little bit. In the future though, I'll probably this was a pretty large hedge because it's the total width is 500, $5 wide spread. I probably should have done a $1 or $2 wide spread and maybe on a ETF, but we'll see. I'm not giving up on it yet. Still plenty of time to be right. It's just a note. So anyway, here's the Apple position. You can see typically when I put on a position, let's go to something like Costco, I have quite a buffer here, and Costco's a little bit much, but I might have put it on somewhere around this range. But Apple, we can see I have absolutely no buffer. So if Apple turned over, went down, or they even stayed flat, I would lose out on this position. So I really need them to move up. Of course, it's saying it's up $16, which that's because I sat on the fill for a little bit and was so aggressive with it. You can get a little bit of premium that way. Anyway, that's about it for today, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.